They were trying to outplay in the side lanes against a gangplank. In this one, again, they have some ability to start going forward with the Renata ult, with the Lissandra pinning in place to get good value out of that. It feels like MNM have got some very intriguing identities of compositions that they want to play towards.
Well, we are on to the Rift for our 5th and final game. Our final game of the week as well here. Durability patch week is closed. Almost. We actually did
on hiatus until this time on Monday.
We did see Lissandra actually come out on Monday.
Yes, we did, from Nariki. Exactly.
I can't remember who it was into. Was it into Ari as well?
It wasn't Ari, because it was Furies. It was Bifrost. It was Nariki when they beat them in what was considered an upset win. But of course, Nariki came away with a win in the last game too. So maybe a recent run of form changing their own fortunes. I have to talk about the fortunes of these two teams, however, though, because MNM had a rough couple of first games.
I mean, MNM have had a rough couple of years, if we're going to be honest, mate.
True. They were typically up here in the top division, and then they ended up dropping out for a while, made their way back in for this year. And that being said, you know, I was saying they're rough times in the split. They did absolutely handle X7 like baggage in their win and just chucks them out the
they did.
Lift. And
it's interesting because Riddle, ever since the NLC has formed, have always been the team that's been, you know, kind of there, kind of not there at times. But like for the most part,
last year they really started to come up on the radar again.
It feels like they've been at least some level of consistent. MNM have always been this team, I mean, since the ESL Premiership, that have been so close to being like one of our top teams, and they've just always been that like sliver away. And then over the last couple of years, they've just fallen to the wayside. And ever since the formation of the NLC, like you were saying, they've been in and out quite a lot. They've, you know, had to play a lot of relegation games themselves.
Of course, it's potentially on the table, this split. It's only a couple of weeks in, but it is something that I think particularly for the bottom end of the table, where typically we're talking about Nariki and Singularity from that last game. Yeah. But again, it's only a couple of weeks in. And when you sat here at 1 and 2, you lose a couple more games and you start getting just the hair up on the back of your neck, looking at those Div 2 teams, which look fairly scary this time around. Of course, that started this week too, and MNM would love to avoid that.
Exactly, and I mean, you've got the likes of Soft, you've got the likes of Chimera. These are two kind of UK veterans almost at this point.
Yeah, they've got some pedigree to them for us.
Yeah, they've been around for a while at this point. So, you know, for these two, you know, maybe having some of that veterancy on you is obviously there. Obviously, Michigu as well, a player who's been kind of coming up on the radar more recently as well. It's good to see this MNM roster. I think it's Jamada talking about it on Monday. He thinks that this is probably one of the better iterations of MNM we've had as of late. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting story just to see, you know, how they play.
To benchmark them against the previous results.
I think he said, I think Jamada's words on the desk were on Monday, I expect them to at least make playoffs, which isn't
we had
that high on the top scale of things, but at least
that's funny
playoffs.
Because effectively got to the post show and we talk about, okay, what are our big the big overreactions rather? What's our big predictions? Jamada said, okay, I think MNM are going to make playoffs. I actually thought that Nariki could have a glow up this summer as well, given how they're developing. And we have to, given how they are in similar situations, could actually both be ending out the day on 2 and 2. Because see if Riddle also beat MNM to the punch on that one. But again, see if. It's a good time to check in very briefly on the start of the split and see who's got the head start on the new patch.
Nice little trade there by Vladdy. Shredder gets shredded.
Did he realize how little health he was on there? I mean, I guess there was a heal. I guess that's the thing. It's like, you sat there, I was like, you don't have the ignite. That could have been a heal bait if you flash it. I was like, that was me and Solo Q up going for that. But either way, at least Nami continuing to be so disgusting a lane, even though people are less likely to die outright. It's still so bursty early on into the game. Yeah. And the Twitch and the Renata lucky to get away without losing their lives that time.
Yeah, but all you need is to force them out. You don't need to kill them because now Michigu's in the lane alone, eating bubbles, eating poke, eating damage, electrocute proc, half HP, and now Michigu has to play careful again because this wave is away from him, and Kevo can hold it here for a while, so they've had to pull Soft over to come and try and alleviate some of this pressure that is building up for Riddle in the bot side.
Soft's gone through that pink ward, gone through a full clear as well, but the thing is, Riddle do actually have really good vision on the top side of the map, and of course one behind Dragon Pit. I think that there's a big thing for Riddle in this game to have that jungle tracking. I actually think that this mid lane matchup as well as this bot lane matchup can flip a lot depending on what's happening with supports and jungles. For Riddle to know where Soph is all the time really gives them an extra ability to play through what can be very high damage matchups early into the game.
Yeah. Obviously, there is that element of MNM do have, at level 6, the ability to basically just deny Riddle from walking forwards. Shredder able to really have a lot of impact. And I think Soft now recognizing that, seeing if there is the opportunity to go for a gank, as Riddle are slowly pushing up. Michigu's going to go invisible. Shredder looking to catch out. Has got that handshake available, but Soft has spotted out on a ward, and Riddle are just playing with them. They know the Soft's about, and they know when they need to step away.
That's been one of the hallmarks of the day, if you've only managed to tune in for this one or didn't catch, particularly the X7 game at the start of the day. It feels like one of the big hallmarks of today's games have been how well can you play defensively? How close to the limit can you play, and how much time can you waste from people like enemy junglers? As you can see, Ash and Shredder trading their skill shots, and Shredder coming out a little worse for wear. This time Stefan is down in terms of the junglers to aid their bot lane. And Stefan, let's talk about him as well, because individually, this player's actually been pretty standout. Of course, new to the league in this split. Riddle changed all of their members, and you come into this split and have a player playing like Stefan has, even with the roster changing back and forth from week 1 to week 2 because of suspensions being served out by Vladdy for a couple of games. This player has been the person I've looked at and said, hey, they've really got it.
Yeah, no, Stefan has been really, really fun to watch so far. And, you know, a player with tremendous potential, let's say. But, you know, Riddle on the other side, they haven't been able to translate that potential into too many victories, just the one in their pocket. So it's very much kind of, you know, getting the feel for playing with this team, playing competitive and stuff like that. So there's lots of things to kind of keep your eyes on. But Stefan definitely a player that we want to watch their growth over the, well, not just this split, but obviously a few.
Hopefully many splits to come.
Yeah.
That'll be the plan. As I think that's something we can kind of say for I mean, I think coming into this iteration of the NLC as well, coming into the season, a lot of shake-up, a lot of new rosters built. We are starting to track that development. Now, MNM, actually in spring, I know we were talking about, we think that potentially this roster does have a high ceiling. In spring, they showed a pretty high ceiling as well. They had a good run of form from a couple of early weeks, petered off a little after that point, but that development isn't always linear. I have to see if MNM can actually make it stick this time, and of course, can get a little bit further up those standings as Riddle beat them to the punch on that time, and of course had their own real scalps that they claimed. Well, taking JDXL down of all teams in the first round of playoffs. They've kind of achieved a fairly good result in that last split, looking to actually meet that benchmark rather than achieve new heights compared to MNM.
What's been interesting about the kind of game state over the last, of the last day, to be honest, is how the priority on Gwen obviously remains high, but the priority on the banning of Gwen and kind of just leaving it open has slightly dropped off as Michigu looking to come in. Vladdy has to be careful, can get caught out by the ulti. Chimera just didn't pull the trigger, so Vladdy able to get away with the Spirit Rush, get away to safety.
That was a really good job. Gets it right onto Michigu. Maybe wondering if they could force out a panic flash, something as well as the Spirit Rush, but as you're saying, no, Chimera just not pulling the trigger on that one. Of course, Herald was being started at the same time. Michigu doesn't, it still has the ult and just runs straight past. Now she's like, yep, okay, gonna get back to Star, thanks.
Just wants to get this last 3 farm. No, misses one of them. Soft will be able to pick up this Rift Herald, something we talked about last game, you know, a bit of a, there's always been an emphasis on Rift Herald, but at the moment, because there's less kills, and getting plate gold is going to be extra valuable. Because of that, translating that into these kind of dragon fights.
I think what that comes down to is, I think it's something that you mentioned a little earlier in the day, probably at the end of that last game, saying that potentially as the weeks go on the new era of League, whether it's just a little less damage in the game, it's a little harder to play out through early kills. If you don't know how to play towards the limits and actually eke out early game advantages, can just go back to basics around objectives, and it is about those objective setups. I think that's why, again, we have to talk about those dragons and those heralds and how these teams want to prioritize them, because that's the easy way to set up for your big game-deciding fights.
Oh, ult comes out from Kevo just to try and chunk out Michigu as much as possible. Kevo actually will be able to pick up another plate here, or just about avoid it. Shredder hit 6, so now Riddle do have that kind of like, let's not get too close. Let's play it a little bit calmer now.
When you're playing with a cleanse, it adds in another factor to it, but you realistically don't want to be dashing into that, as Trouble was actually saying in pre-game as well. Well, Jack's blank. On the other side of the map, of course, picking up that cull on the Gnar. That's another thing we're sure actually going to start tracking as well, because one of the things that we said earlier in the day, and this was actually around the JDXL game, was if you're giving up Gwen, you've got to really damn well prove it was worth giving up the Gwen, because Gwen has been such a main character, I suppose, in the match that we've had. Mishigu looking to chunk out with his ultimate, really going it. Oh gosh, that's
bubble though. Tidal wave's on. Mishigu has to flash away, pop in the heal. They have the ultimate available if Kevo overstays. Shredder doesn't even want to throw it down. First blood for Kevo, and Shredder now having to dodge away from everybody underneath the tower. Burns the flash as well. Mishigu just biting off way too much and eating a bubble from Nash.
Oh, and just doesn't flash the first skill shot. The turnaround damage from Steel is so bursty. Electrocute. Press attack doesn't matter if you don't have an ignite. Riddle picking up that one fairly easily, but while this is happening, something's had to break in the cross map. It's going to be a Herald summoned in mid. Already a couple of plates gone down, and now it's going to be a lot of gold into the pockets of that Xin Zhao and Lissandra, which are a very bursty combo. And one of the things we're going to have to track when it comes to the team fights, a lot of the go buttons, a lot of the engage that we've seen lacking through today. Now there's a lot more gold in this game to make those fights start in the favor of MNM.
Well, first blood has been picked up for the side of Riddle, so that at the moment they've got themselves a pretty significant gold lead. They've been able to accrue a bunch of plates, and as you can see on your screen, it's Kevo. That's where the gold is right now. Got himself a 1,200 gold lead over Mishigu.
Oh, back in the day, we'd say that's a BF sword worth of gold. Less important now onto these AD carries, but it's still so much damage. You can see it coming through now.
I think that might just be one dead rat exterminated by Kevo. And turns out, there's still a few things that do damage at the moment. Electrocute Nami with the old Lucian, still something.
What are we going to do tonight, Mishigu? Same thing we try every time. Try to get back into the laning phase. It just doesn't work this time. Goes down another time. And it was a little risky picking the Twitch Renata. It feels like in this meta you can get away with some of the more risky lane combos because, again, you just have more stats to play around. You're not getting zoned off of waves so early into the game. But Mishigu now getting punished a sizable amount. And Kevo 2-0, lots of gold already checked in with that gold a little bit before. Was 1,300, probably close to about 1,600, 1,700 now with extra plates being put into pocket.
It's weird seeing the kind of rebirth of Twitch. I haven't been impressed by it today. I've seen this is our third Twitch in a row, and it just feels like it's still fairly an exposed champion, fairly punishable in a Jaxplank. Actually kind of vibing here. It's going to get sent packing. That's 2 ultimates burnt by MNM, though, for Jaxplank's evolve, basically.
That felt like some pretty Oscar-worthy performances from Jaxplank. They're going, hey, I'm here. I have an ultimate. And then Soft goes, oh, hang on, I don't really want to get caught up. But that was no one was behind him. It's like the old trick with Thresh putting the lantern behind him in a lane and walking up aggressively and seeing what he could burn. And Jaxplank getting a Crescent Guard seemingly for free from that one. And now Jaxplank, again, doing pretty well in the isolated matchup, absorbing a fair amount of pressure. But again, got to track back to this one. Gwen has come alive in those team fights, has been able to do so much damage when left unchecked in the group confrontations later on. That's really where we're drawing our eyes to on this top lane matchup.
Well, we're 13 minutes in. Dragon is not up and available for Riddle. They have already got themselves 2, though, so Mountain Soul on the board. And talking about, you know, even more resistances.
This could be an overstep. Look at
Lissandra. Gonna pop the blast cone. That was actually good. I think Riddle positioned really well there.
Yes.
They just stood on top of the blast cone to make sure that they could get out.
It's one of these, again, it's something that we see quite a lot in modern League of Legends where someone thinks, oh, now's the time to invade, now's the time to push in for a turret, and they go beyond where their vision line is, and that's when they get punished. So in this case, Riddle not going to get full prey for that. However, much as the last play towards the bot side, which Riddle made, it's going to be damage on tower traded for potential plays towards that. Now, actually, Vladdy only hang on to that tower by just a small amount of HP.
Denies the plate going down, though, to the side of Chimera, while Kevo on the other side got the plate, got the tower as well. 610 gold given to them. You can see Gale Force in the inventory, got that Warhammer, got the...
yeah, it looks like it's going towards the essence
as well. Yep, versus components. Yeah. Mishigu. I'd like to, once again, just rub salt in the wound and see the gold difference between these 2 AD carries, if we could toggle that, and yeah, there's a
cruel person here, Brain, sometimes. Just like, yeah, you know, I just want to see Mishigu's pain very briefly. Thanks.
Well, you know, I'm suffering too, so
I'll
bring everyone down with them.
Hey, at least I get my Ori games today. That's fun.
Yes, yeah, and I've had 2 LeBlanc games.
Yeah, I mean,
LeBlanc games were very underwhelming. They both got fed.
I waited an awful long time for my main to become meta, because Season 3 was a time. Now trying to see if they can flex their muscles now. Gonna get
the charm,
straight
get the
mount monsters.
Everfrost off as well. Cleanse comes down, Vladdy just spirit rushes away. So hard to keep on top of these Ares as the needlework does a lot of damage from Kalen, but not going to stick too long.
Okay, so, but that's Cleanse down. Now, Cleanse, Flash, ult down from Vladdy. Period of time without Ori won't just be a solid control tap. Potentially MNM can look back to return to that later, but as we've seen with many of these plays, both of these teams have been pretty happy to cross-map. This time it's Cavo left alone in a side lane, and MNM lose themselves another side lane turret. And at this point, you're going to start losing vision from that too. They have themselves a defensive vision line. You can see actually on the minimap down there, leading up to the Herald, there are a couple of pink wards. Thank you very much, Observers. You're very on it today. But they don't have much vision across the river. There's like one pink ward, but while you do have a bit to defend yourself, you realistically, as we said right away from the start of this, want to be playing aggressively with engaged tools, with stuff like the Lissandra ult, playing into stuff like the Twitch opening up and the Renata buying space for the ultimate too. They're not really going to have the same ability to do that if it'll maintain vision control.
Do have that Rift Herald obviously in the pocket of a Riddle, and you know, a lot of people are going, MNM just got the tools here to be able to take this game down, but it's been these rotations, it's been these objectives, it's been these towers, these plates, everything like that that has led into a Riddle lead. It wasn't an unwinnable game for Riddle, it was definitely an uphill battle, but they have set themselves up very, very well to be able to try and take this victory. With this Rift Herald in the mid lane as well, it looks to me like Riddle are going to just commit multiple members, try and take this tower down, and at that point, that's where that vision tunnel you were talking about becomes even more oppressive because you can't step up.
I actually wonder if it's more valuable for MNM to not contest this river too much and try and get the tower themselves. Just play it a little slowly. Jax Plank going to get chunked out on the side by Kalen.
Oh my word.
Let's have the Mega. See that tower, again, just holding on at such a low amount of HP from Riddle's perspective of things. They do have that Herald dope, fighting over that mid-priority, seeing that a lot today. It's the easy way to get access into that river, not play around those choke points. And a Cavo,
Mishigu! So much health, but Kalen with the W able to block up all of the damage, but Mishigu just chunked out. He has no items, he has no damage to work with. Essence Reaver Gale Force onto Kevo. MNM might just have to give this up, but Chimera looking for the flank. Michigu's still kind of feeling it. The Tidal Wave's only going to land on someone. The Claw comes down. Chimera jumps in, flashes forward, locks everyone in place, loses his life though. Stefan able to get the answer out, and there is the Berserk coming down. Doesn't quite hit onto everyone with a hostile takeover, but Kevo is popping off. Shredder is shredded by Kevo. Able to get himself another kill. They get the slope from Jaxbank. The flash comes forward, and Shredder will fall. Kevo gets the double kill.
And while Camera does find an angle, gets into the place he wants to be. Honestly, for me, the MVP of that is the Tidal Wave and the disruption coming out from that. Oh, Mishigu, buddy. Buddy.
Mishigu. Kevo will flash. Kevo will chase. And down goes the right. He keeps cancelling the autos. Mishigu's still running away. But Kevo hold on his heels. They lost him. Mishigu.
So close. Well, we got to see the action which transpired once again though, and honestly this Tidal Wave does so much for me because look at this, the perma CC onto Soft, so Soft can't immediately dash in. Yeah, Ari goes down, that's kind of the extended benefit from the play earlier, burning that cleanse, but you don't get everything messed up right from the start with everyone back in the middle of things. It's just Lissandra on their own, only get that one kill, and sadly that's not onto the 2-item AD carry. You're talking about components left on the Twitch. They are still components. Riddle had the AD carry damage difference, and Cavo played through it very, very effectively. Huge damage from the Lucian, and that was the story of that fight.
Yeah. I'm just not sold on the Twitch. This is multiple games in a row. Even the one game we've had a win, where Odie played it, Odie wasn't the winning factor for that game.
No, not at all. And I can see the logic, you know, I think that Twitch has a lot of extra X factors you can bring to it. I think the level 1s you can have are very interesting. Speaking of X factors, it's like Lissandra's on a very long flank. That vision control we talked about being control of Riddle actually briefly flicked over to MNM, but not pulling the trigger this time. Had an extended angle. Didn't want to dive in and meet a similar fate to last time, particularly with both cleanses up on the carries now. Much harder to land that killer flank combo.
Stefan needs to use this Rift Herald.
It's very close.
About to
You're
time out.
absolutely right. I mean, they've taken down the turrets anyway. Zero's summoning over the wall, going to go towards that bot lane, holds Caleb on the turret. I actually wonder if Riddle can start looking just around the fringes now, hemming back MNM, making sure that tower does go down. Caleb not able to respond to that herald just yet. And
there
Riddle
it is.
actually just taking the easy win, taking that easy gold, and Riddle, now they get to take that vision line even further forward. Again, more wards, more control, less ability for MNM to make their own plays. Their vision line, they're going to have it for about another minute before those wards clear out, and then it's going to be much more difficult for them to find those angles.
Well, Kellum has found out Jax Plank. You can see the damage coming out as the needlework has been thrown down. Jax Plank burning low here. Caleb continues the chase, but there is a red buff on Jax Plank plus the Q, so a lot of slows to work with. The Soft's coming in. Need to see Caleb get this kill, though. Soft probably not the best recipient of it, but he's going to try and make it work. And yeah, you really need your Gwen to get that shut down. That could have been a big injection of gold.
I think you had a choice at that point. You see that Mega Gnar bar and you think, oh heck, that's actually going to be a fair amount of damage. Of course, the Triforce on Jax Plank meant that movement speed was really quite impressive with the hyper procs popping off too. But Riddle, they do get caught napping just a little bit. They weren't in position to counter with the Baron. That's normally what you see when you have an elongated chase on the bot side of the map. But Riddle managed to push in top side again. Get to kind of continue pushing in the full court press across the other lanes of the map and retain control of the areas which are important to them. Again, the real way they lose this is by one of those Lysandra flanks. It didn't work out in that last fight. Again, I think that Nash was the real MVP of splitting up that fight, but that shouldn't lull Riddle into a false sense of security. That is always going to happen that way. Just don't let the flanks happen. Make sure that vision control is still in control.
Well, MNM, they are going to be scratching their heads trying to figure out a way in. Yes, that mid tower gets you a bit of gold. Michigu kind of needs to just hit at least 2-3 items before they're actually able to play, because they are just completely shut out of this, unfortunately. Yeah. Just a lot of really oppressive bot lane play from Kevo and Nash, and it is just taking Michigu out for such a long time. Caleb trying to find some semblance of relevance as well. Obviously has got a level lead over Jax Plank, but Jax Plank really feeling it as Caleb actually gonna go for this. Got Chimera in the pocket, and they're looking for the potential dive.
Oh,
but
he's under turret. He is under turret.
Caleb, what are you doing? And Jax Plank finds one. He's looking for a second. The slows are coming in. Chimera doesn't have the ult up anymore. He gets the knockback, and
he's got Triforce move speed.
He can just keep chasing down. The stopwatch is gonna get used, and Jax Plank finds himself a double kill.
That is why we do not mess with turrets on patch 12.11. You don't do it. On patch 12.10 rather. You don't do it. Too much damage. You have that Triforce, extra damage, extra ability to outplay with the move speed, chases down, and now when we said, oh, they weren't in position to take that Baron in the last aggressive side lane attempt that MNM have, they certainly are in a position to do that now. This is going to go straight into the Dragon. Huge series of play from Riddle.
Oh, Michigu gonna try and get zoned away. It's a good ultimate from Shredder, but only really lands onto two. It's Jax Plank finds the slam. Michigu gets the bailout, but it's not gonna go off in time. And Kevo sliding forward, taking down another Soft, the only member standing, as he is cooked. The Orb of Deception will send him packing as Vladdy finds a double kill.
What a disastrous couple of minutes from MNM. Seemed like things were at least tenable. There was a chance, maybe a miracle flank, but they end up going for seriously what seems to be a huge lapse in judgment through that top side. Immediately follows into a desperation Dragon defense, but Jax Plank comes in after mullering the top side of the map, comes straight down towards the bot side, charges up Mega Gnar again and slams him.
When you said a tragic couple of minutes, do you mean a tragic 23 minutes? Is that what you mean? This has just not been MNM's game. They drafted so smart, but they did not predict this Kevo lane. Lucian, Nami, Kevo Nash just taking over so hard to the point where Michigu just isn't a champion. You don't have an AD carry. No. The enemy team has 4. This Lucian is worth 4 right now.
Oh, well, he's shooting enough guns for so many of them, the double tap passives, and he's so bursty. Infinity Edge built in, the Zeal for the extra move speed and crit. Yeah, I mean, Kevo's at a point where you walk into a lane and Twitch pops out and says, hi, I was hiding. Yeah, okay, go hide 6 feet under in the dirt. Gets put down for another couple of kills. And I mean, Michigu has really tried to open up and abuse that matchup when he could, but every time he's gone aggressive, it's just been shut down so succinctly by Riddle.
Yeah, Riddle are just playing this game very, very smart. Like you're saying, it feels like they just kind of relied on good old by-the-book League of Legends. Play back, play chill, and just take the objectives and take the advantages that way. They're already onto an inhibitor tower. 25 minutes in as the inhibitor tower falls. The inhibitors should be quick to follow. Mountain Soul plus Baron just means that MNM don't have an answer here, but they need to find an opportunity. They could get a good ultimate out by Shredder. That could be their window. Turn Fladdy and Kevo against each other, but they've both got cleanses.
You don't have Lissandra with a teleport. Maybe you can flash somewhere into it, but just trying to get something with Lissandra's going to get so hard. You see, even at this point, this feared Gwen, the almighty Gwen, not really doing much. Too far down at this point. Jack's playing, honestly, the huge hero of this game outside, of course, that bot lane. And currently just making sure they can continue jumping into camera, moving forward again, but cannot find the correct angle. Getting stifled out by Riddle's impressive Baron shove.
There is just no fuel in the tank here for MNM. The marshmallows have been toasted and their base has been destroyed.
They put diesel in the petrol.
I've done that. It was very expensive.
Well, this, judging by the amount of gold they're in deficit, would be wishing they'd had a bit more gold to spend on this one. No more expenses really to be allowed in this one. It feels like the game has been shut out for a little while since that last series of plays. Mountain Soul, of course, on there. Riddle just pulling the trigger.
Soft eating a lot of the culling. They're going to try and throw down the ulti. The Berserk's coming off. And oh my word, Nash is deleted. Vladdy's still alive. Kevo's still alive. And everybody is low. Kaelin gets the bailout, but he's going to lose his life. The Twitch damage is just not enough as Mishigu will be slammed into the wall. Mishigu takes a dirt nap and Chimera gets back to the fountain, gets back to safety. But Soft is on his lonesome. The base is just going to fall to the side of Riddle here. MNM need to pull out a goddamn miracle, and I don't think they have it in them. Towers will crumble, Nexus will fall, and Riddle just slaughter MNM.
And Riddle feels like they just outplay in a lot of ways in this game. MNM, we said they have the aggressive tools, they have the ability to go forward.